and we're doing really well here, guys. Let's go over to the Ben. You ready? You think you're ready to be called in from the bullpen?
I'm ready.
All right, I'm giving you the signal. We're going with the righty. We're going with Ben. Ben, AL West. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, so the AL West, last year the Rangers won it with a 96 and 66 record. The Angels came in second, A's third, and Seattle fourth. The A's and the Mariners were never really close to contention. It's really all, Rangers and Angels in this division. But from last year, Rangers are now going to try to three-peat the division pennant this year. And in doing that, they lost C.J. Wilson, but they signed Yu Darvish from Japan. And
Soldier Boy,
the Angels made possibly the biggest splash of the offseason, signing Albert Pujols and C.J. Wilson. The A's, like I said, they're rebuilding. They traded most of their rotation, and they're trying to survive until they move to a new stadium, likely to be in Fremont, right?
San Jose now.
San Jose.
Not even
The Fremont deal pretty much
mess.
died like a year ago. Yeah, it's more like San Jose.
San Jose.
And San Jose's a long shot too.
Yeah.
And then the Mariners, they're in the division.
Hey, King Felix, they've got one of the
They got
best pitchers in
Hernandez.
baseball. They got King
They do have King Felix. They
Yeah.
still have Ichiro.
Sure. Who's going to hit third this year?
They're there. He's going to hit third this year. Is that right? Interesting. Let's discuss. So with Pujols now in the division, the AL West might be the most talked about division in baseball. But do you think the Angels can live up to what's going to be enormous expectations? Alex, will you take this one?
I think that it's going to be, the expectations are going to be very high for them. But at the same time, people will know baseball's a long game. It's a long season. I do think they will make the playoffs. And I think that their pitching staff is going to be able to win them the division. I just don't think that the expectations, that they're a world champion team right now fit just because of their bullpen. Their bullpen is going to get beat up if these starters don't go 7 innings a night. And that is, just in my opinion, going to be the difference for them is that, when you get to the deadline, maybe be willing to cut loose with either a prospect or one of your starters to get that and really solidify that bullpen, because everybody knows they're going to be good. They're going to be that top 5 team in baseball. But now the question becomes, how do you go from being the top 5 to the top 1? And I don't think they have the bullpen to do it.
Well, and the thing for me is that, you always, every time there's a team, this year was the Marlins and the Angels, every time it's the offseason and something happens at the winter meetings, a team makes a huge move, all of a sudden they're hyped up like they're going to be the world champs, that's it. And all the experts, the prediction shows all over the place are saying these guys are going to be right there. And then, that's a lot, like Alex was saying, that's a lot to live up to. That, and they're a West Coast team. They're used to that kind of hype. So it's going to be, I'm not sure they can live up to that lofty expectation of what it's going to be just because they got the best player in baseball in the offseason when they signed Albert Pujols and got a potential number 1 starter in C.J. Wilson. He was a number 1 with the Rangers. So I'm not sure they can completely live up because the expectations are going to be ridiculously high. Because of what, so I think it might be a little unfair to have them live up to all of that. But they are going to be a good team, like Alex said.
All right, so second question, could the A's or Mariners realistically make a push, or is the gap too wide right now between them and the Rangers and Angels? Send this to Dave.
Yeah, sure. On paper, I would say it's going to be the Angels or the Rangers. The Rangers are 2-time AL West champions, and now the Angels with the new crop of talent with their hitting and their pitching, they're going to be right there. It would be a total surprise if the Mariners or the A's are in contention or even win this division. That doesn't mean that it could be fun to watch the Mariners or the A's play. With their young talent coming in, and the A's, adding Cespedes. And
Manny, if he makes the team.
He could be trade bait, at best, when he comes back in early June. But I think, at least for the Mariners, I think that they could be a year or two away. The A's are a mess overall, but I think in this division, let's just face it, it's going to be the Rangers or the Angels.
But here's the thing, is that the A's do have a bit of talent. They traded away a lot of pieces, but they've gotten some good pieces back in the turn. I think they have 2 starters that they picked up that could make the rotation, one from Arizona, one from Washington in their trades when they let go of Gio Gonzalez and Trevor Cahill. Their names escape me right now, but They have Cespedes, so they're going to sell tickets. They have Manny, so they're going to sell tickets. As you said, Billy Beane looks like he did it again by signing Manny. If Manny comes back and starts hitting bombs in Oakland, he's going to be – if he hits home runs in Oakland, of all places in the American League,
Hard place to
he
hit.
is going to be the hottest commodity for a trade in all of baseball.
That's a
And
DH, obviously.
Exactly.
Right.
But a team like the Red Sox or especially a team like the Blue Jays that maybe, close but need to get that extra step, definitely going to be willing, and then they'll be able to collect more prospects. Billy Beane has this formula, and every year that we say the A's are going to look terrible, they somehow get to that 500 mark or get over it. And I have this feeling that that's one of those years because of the guys they have at the top, with Cespedes as their main guy to hit in the lineup. He honestly seems as if he could, at least to me, make that difference.
And let's not forget, they've got, obviously, with all the trades and all the moves they made, they're once again starting with a very young pitching staff, but they got some guys who can definitely teach the younger guys how to pitch. They got Bartolo Colon, who's been injured in his career, but when he's on, he can still be a good pitcher. I think he pitched well for a while with the Yankees last year. And so Brandon McCarthy's going to be their number one starter. He has experience pitching, he used to pitch in Texas. He was with the A's last year. Dallas Braden, when he comes back from his injury around mid-April or May, he should be okay. And Brett Anderson is expected to be back maybe around the All-Star, maybe a little after the All-Star break. So they traded away two of their best starters in Gonzalez and Cahill, but they still have some good pitching. And this pitching, you can use the building blocks to teach the younger guys. That's what the A's do. They build up the young players, and that's what they've done for years. That's Billy Beane's formula. So even though, like you said, Dave, they probably won't make a run at the division, they can still play, spoiler or be a pain in the butt to the Rangers and the Rangers and the Angels and make it very tough on them if it's a close race. Like whoever has to play the A's, oh God, they're on a hot streak, we're gonna be in trouble. So the A's do have the building blocks to be good in the near future.
All right, and then third and final question, and this one's for Thomas. Is the American League West now the most intriguing division in the American League?
I think it's close, but I'm going to say no. And the only reason is because we all, like Dave, you said it, and we've all basically been saying it the whole time, it's a two-team race. It's the Angels and the Rangers. And as much attention as that's going to get, because like we've said, the Rangers are the two-time defending champs, the AL champs, the Angels have got Pujols and C.J. Wilson. In the AL East, you still got four legitimate teams. Right. You've got the Red Sox, you got the Yankees, you got the Rays, and you got the Blue Jays. If it's 4 teams to 2, forget East Coast bias and all of that. I'm just saying that because there are more teams that are going to be in the race, and each one of them has their strengths and flaws, and they tend to beat each other up a lot during the season, that's why I think right now the East is still the most intriguing team. In a few years, if it gets to the point where the Mariners and A's raise up again, and the Astros, because they'll be joining the division next year, in a few years, if those teams raise up and the Rangers and Angels are still there, they can still, that could be a very intriguing division, especially as the Yankees, the East, some of the top teams starting to get older and more hurt and more injured. But right now, the East is still the most intriguing team.
And I totally have to agree with that. And just take this stat into consideration. The Toronto Blue Jays, if you go with outer division games, and this is the 4th best team in the East, have the overall 7th best record since 2000 outside of the division. And the 3 of the 6 teams that are ahead of them are the Yankees, Red Sox, and Rays. Yeah. And that shows you that if they're in any other division, if they're in the NL East, they're a playoff team every year. It's just that division is so strong every year. I mean, last year, 3 teams finished above 500, and Toronto was right at 500. You don't see in any other division anywhere close to that where even, 3 teams were at a 500 record. Right. It was only in the East. The only other division that had 3 teams at a 500 record was the NL West, and that was by 1 game for the Dodgers. Yeah. So I think that the East has to be the number 1 division in all of baseball. Right. By that much. And that's to the National League.
Yeah, we've been talking about gaps the whole show, like closing the gap. The gap is closing in terms of which division is the most intriguing. For years, it's been the East, and it's still the East. But the gap, there are divisions that are getting ready to come up and be, especially, like we were talking about the Central earlier, especially if the Indians, the Indians and Royals in the next few years become really good and build up something with the Tigers.
A quick thing, and I would say that in the AL East, that as far as pitching and hitting is concerned, that has the best of it. If you look for in each division who has the best pitching and hitting, you're gonna have to say the AL East. And then I think the Central's probably the weakest, just to throw it in there.
Oh, probably, yeah. I mean, probably, although it's hard to say when, the AL West only has 2 teams in it, and the Central has a lot more teams 2 teams are going to be in the race. And the AL Central has a lot more teams anyway, but you're right. I mean, we're all pretty much agree that the Tigers are the best team in that Central. All right, you guys, that is the Sports Junkie preview for the American League. Great job, you guys. We're going to go, since we're the pitching staff for this, we're going to go ice up our arms and get ready for our next outing, our next show. Dave has the arm feel. You okay?
Yeah,
You ready to
loosen
go
up
next
again.
time? We'll be back for another show. Thanks for watching, guys. We are the Sports Junkies.